Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel or if you're a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I want to talk a little bit today about Elvis in 1974. When I initially talked about 73, I pitched it from my point of view as potentially Elvis's last great year. And I think in many ways 74 kind of supports that, because 74 is significant for the fact that we don't get a single professional recording from Elvis. Now, that's the first time that's happened since he first walked into Sam Phillips' studio and started recording under contract in 1954. The only year that Elvis never recorded professionally was 1959, and he was in the army. So significant in a kind of negative way, I guess, 74. And you have to ask yourself, well, this is a man that loved creating music. Why was he so sort of disinclined to enter into a studio and record new music? I don't know what the answer to that is. But yeah, I know he'd recorded a wealth of material at Stax in December 73 that would see the RCA contract through 74 and into 75. But like I said, this is a guy that loved creating music, loved making music, just loved music for the sake of music. So it seems pretty strange to me that he had no inclination to enter a studio and make something new. But there we go. That's not to say in 74 Elvis kind of stagnates in any way. Far from it. We've seen before that he was always kind of trying to mix things up, push the boundaries a little bit, change what he was wearing on stage, make things a little bit different. And 74 is no exception. Before, the jumpsuits we've seen are all patterns, rhinestone patterns, the only exception being the Aloha Eagle. But in 74, we see creatures coming into the designs. We see tiger, we see dragon, we see peacock. And even later into that year, Elvis starts wearing sort of stitched leather two-piece suits, really contemporary of the time. And he also starts wearing a karate top in his stage wear a couple of times. So, he's trying to mix it up. And even more so than that, when we get to the Vegas season, the second season of the year, the opening show on August the 19th, he really does mix it up. It's almost like for the rehearsals for that season, he kind of went, well, the old set list is getting a bit staid. Everyone knows exactly pretty much what order I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, what order I'm going to do it in. Let's throw that out the window. Let's shake it up. Let's do something new. So he comes out on stage to Big Boss Man. In the set, he includes Down in the Alley. He's got It's Midnight, I'm Leaving. It kind of throws out that rule book of what he's been doing for a good year, 2 years or more, almost, give or take. And so it's a shame, really, that I think the audiences had kind of got used to that ritual. They'd got used to what to expect. And when it wasn't delivered in the way they expected it, they didn't react in the way Elvis had hoped. He didn't get that feedback from the audience. So that's the opening night in Vegas in August 74. By the time we get to the following night, the set list has pretty much reverted back to what it was before. So it must have been a real artistic disappointment to him to think, do you know what? I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to do something new. I'm bored with the set. The audience is probably bored of seeing it, those songs and almost in that same order. So yeah, it's almost like he becomes trapped by what the audience expect of him, and that would then pretty much continue right until the end, give or take some exceptions when he did mix it up. But by and large, I think, he wanted to give the audience what they wanted. So he kind of felt trapped by needing that reaction to see that he was giving them what they wanted. So that was a shame, really, because, that would have made things a little bit more interesting. Maybe he'd have carried on and carried on mixing it up and throwing all sorts of songs from different periods of his career. But alas, we were never really to get to see that. So 74, yeah, we definitely see Elvis you know, still trying to shake things up, still trying to change his appearance, still trying to keep things fresh. He doesn't go into the studio, but what we do see are some developments outside of his control, really, and what goes on with record companies. And I'll show you what I mean. So 74 opens up. The first release is Elvis, A Legendary Performer, Volume 1. Now, we spoke a little bit in the 73 series about how Colonel Parker had persuaded Elvis to basically sell his back catalogue to RCA. And I think this is the first product of that. This is RCA saying, hey, you know, we own all that stuff, let's do something with it. So what you get on here are some unreleased versions of established songs. I Love You Because, Love Me. They're trying to get to you. So they're either unreleased live versions or newly discovered takes. Tonight's All Right for Love, unreleased track from GI Blues. And, you know, I think it's the first time significantly that they've put something out and they refer to them as unreleased. You know, before they'd pop things on as fillers on albums because they had them in the vaults, but they'd just appear on them. This time they're kind of making it a selling point. And as people have pointed out, this really is the genesis of what we see going through right up until the present day, you know, unreleased versions, outtakes, for the fans kind of thing. And this is RCA saying, well, we own this catalogue now and we're going to get something out of it. So that's the first release of 74, A Legendary Performer, Volume 1. And then we get the second album of the Stax material. We get Good Times. Now, as I said in the 73 episode, many feel that, you know, the Stax material, the 3 albums that it produces, get stronger each time. And I'd have to agree with that. You know, I think this is a much stronger album than Raised on Rock was. You've got Love in Arms. Now, Love in Arms to me, even today, if I put Love in Arms on, when he gets to the bit, singing somewhere in the lonely night, dreaming of the arms that held me tight, the note that he soars up to there, hairs on the back of my neck, every single time. You know, I remember clearly the feeling when I heard that for the first time, the power and the emotion in his voice, and it does it for me even now. I've got a feeling in my body. I've got a thing about you, baby, my boy, Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues. Fabulous, fabulous album, Good Times. Yep, absolutely superb. But that really is our only studio album that's released in 74. Because what we do get, when Elvis tours, as he does I think 3 or 4 times throughout 74, he actually performs at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, and this is the first time that he's been played live in Memphis since 61. So RCA decide to make a big thing of that. They take the mobile recording unit, they record it, and they release Elvis recorded live on stage in Memphis. Now, what's always struck me strange about this cover, beautiful cover it is with Graceland showing the gates, showing the front. I said before, when I talked about standing room only, I said that the photograph that was slated for that got used on the Madison Square Garden album, so the chance was gone. And talking about chances gone, I don't know if anyone else has ever thought this, and I'm pretty sure you must have done, I can't be the only one. But this is 1974. In 1976, we get Elvis from Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, when he's recorded in the Jungle Room in Graceland. So that is an album that is recorded in Graceland, and it's called From Elvis Presley Boulevard. That should have been the cover. If you're going to do an album called From Elvis Presley Boulevard and it was recorded in Graceland, there's your cover, but they've already sort of used it on a live album recorded at Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis. So why on earth they didn't go with a live shot? Let's face it, There was live shots on pretty much everything else. And, well, obviously they didn't know at the time, I guess. But what I'm saying is, why is this got Graceland on? I know he's in Memphis, but yeah, it's an opportunity missed there. But like I said, they obviously didn't know he was going to record in Graceland. But it's one of those, to me, great what ifs. You know, that should have been the cover from Elvis Presley Boulevard with hindsight. But a great live album. I do think that the Follow That Dream vinyl release of this has a much nicer cover, to be honest. Not that there's nothing wrong with the cover, it's Graceland. But even the fact it says Graceland is a bit odd for recorded live on stage in Memphis. I mean, your average record buyer in public would kind of think, well, what's he doing? Is he playing in his back garden or something? Anyhow, the one thing I would say about this concert is I don't know why it appeared on the recent Elvis Memphis anthology that came out. I don't think it has any place in that. I think the only reason they put it on that is because they tend to put things out just before they hit 50 years so they can carry on renewing the copyright. And that's the only reason I can think, because to me, the atmosphere and feel of that set didn't need a live album in it, and we could have had the missing tracks from American Sound and the missing track from Stax to make out the extra CD. But yeah, recording live on stage in Memphis. Now, I said that RCA capitalised on the fact that they owned the back catalogue up to 73, but they weren't the big winners. Oh no, the big winners were Arcade Records, who licensed. They must have obviously got wind that suddenly RCA had the rights to all that material, so they licensed it from them, and they produced this beauty, Elvis 40 Greatest. This was a complete and utter smash hit. It's sold by the bucket loads. Lots of press advertising, TV advertising, what have you, but this was the first time that anyone had done a real retrospective sweep of Elvis's entire career to that date. So you'd had things before like the Worldwide Gold Award hits and various compilations, but they'd targeted specific date ranges. This was the whole sweep, you know, from the beginning. We don't go right up to contemporary. We've got Don't Cry Daddy being the latest track on here. So it only actually goes through to 69. But having said that, you know, it was still the first full retrospective sweep with the kind of push that it had. Massive hit, and I think quite a lot of us of a certain generation have a huge soft spot for this, because, you know, this was our certainly my introduction to Elvis. I've said it before. My dad had this on a cassette tape, double cassette tape, and this was how all this started. Just this fantastic album. So yeah, I know later RCA regretted the fact that they'd kind of given the licensing away and caused a monster hit for another record company, so they actually put their own version of this out with a different cover. But yeah, quite a significant album in a lot of aspects, that one. Now RCA, you know, it is the year when we start seeing compilations aplenty, because RCA weren't going to be left behind totally, and they gave us hits of the 70s. So not quite the scope and sweep, but again, you can see that they're mining that deal and that access to all that material that they had. So they give us hits of the 70s, and there's what our record buying public saw in 1974. Now, in terms of CDs, I don't have a tremendous amount just covering 74 in my collection. I have the Legacy issue of As Recorded Live on Stage in Memphis, which is a really nice little release, easy to pick up, good sound on it, and you get a second concert on the second disc. So you get the Recorded Live on Stage in Memphis, which is the release that came out in 74, and then you get recorded live at the Coliseum, Richmond, March the 18th, 1974. And you get a bit of a rehearsal material at the end as well. So a really, really nice little package, this. As I say, readily available, easy to pick up. They really are great little pickups, the Legacy double CDs. Just give you a quick flick through the booklet. And it is going to be a quick flick because I've got some books to show you, to share with you, and I don't want to take up all the time with the booklet because there's some beautiful books to have a look at. But you get the gist. Nice little Legacy release. Fantastic. Yeah, I'd recommend if anyone's just looking to get a CD version of that particular release, can't go wrong with the Legacy. And the other release I have is the FTD classic album version of Good Times. And as usual, you get your album, various takes, various bits and pieces surrounding that fantastic album. And as ever, being a Follow That Dream, you get a fantastic informative booklet. Put together with the usual care and attention. Down there, I think that was the original artwork design for Good Times. The back differed significantly from the release version, and I think I prefer the one they didn't use, to be honest. So yeah, there's Good Times. Okay, got some books to share. First and foremost, we have Enter the Dragon, Joseph Tunzi. There's Elvis in his magnificent dragon jumpsuit, and this is photographs that were taken at the performance on October the 1st, 1974 in South Bend, Indiana. And that dragon suit really is an amazing thing. As I like to, I'll stick a photograph up. This is me. I got to see it, as did many others, at the exhibition at Arches London Bridge last year. And it really does look absolutely beautiful when you get to see it close up. The colour and the detail, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. As is this book, actually. There's some really nice photographs in this book, some really nice pictures. Suffers a little bit, in my view, from, and I've said this before about the Tunzi books, and it's not, I'm not having a dig, but when you've got a jumpsuit that's so beautiful and colourful and detailed, it's a bit of a shame to see them all in black and white, and this book is solely black and white. So I think, as I've said before, if they were only taken in black and white, well, I can't, it'd be churlish of me to complain about that. But having said that, it is a bit of a disappointment when you, as I say, you get a jumpsuit that's so full of vibrance and colour as that, and you see it all in black and white. So I think I might have to knock a couple of points off it in terms of score. It probably gets a bit of a 7, 8 out of 10, this one for me, just because of that. But fantastic record of that date. And this can still be picked up, still turns up from time to time. So that's Enter the Dragon. And then a little while later, so this one was produced sometime later. This one was 2018. sure when that one was. That was 1996, so some considerable time later. Joe Tunzi returns with Return of the Dragon. And actually, this is a book made up of photographs from the same date. So obviously came across a load more negatives and gives us another book full of photos from October the 1st, 1974, South Bend, Indiana. Nice release. I mean, they are beautiful photographs, but again, they are all black and white. And strangely for this little volume, what we get at the end, we do get some colour photographs, look, but they're from 76, when Elvis returned to the same venue. And you can always tell Elvis in 76 because his sideburns start being real pointy, angular ones, and he's also got more of a brush forward fringe. But yeah, so you do get some colour, but you don't get colour from 74. So I'm not going to dwell on that because it's not 74. But there we go, there is Return of the Dragon. Now this was one of the relatively early Follow That Dream releases. And this is Elvis Presley live in LA. And what this gives us is Elvis's concert at the LA Forum in 1974. And if I'd have prepared properly, I'd give you the exact date, and I haven't. There we go. Recorded May the 11th, 1974, evening show at the Forum of Inglewood, Los Angeles, California. And this was the date where Led Zeppelin were in the audience and Elvis introduces them. So what this rather lovely book does is its initial pages give you various photographs of Elvis performing in Los Angeles throughout the earlier part of his career, or even being photographed, photo sessions taken in. So there's some Loving You publicity shots that were taken in Los Angeles. Pan Pacific Auditorium, 1957, Los Angeles. You get the Inglewood Forum, Los Angeles, 1970. But the meat and potatoes, if you like, of the book is the 74 performance that the CD features. So May the 11th, evening show. And you see Elvis in his second eagle jumpsuit. This was the one that's more sort of embroidery than rhinestones, which the Aloha suit had. And you get some fantastic photographs throughout this. Just a really nice, the fact that you're getting the concert on CD and then you get an accompanying book that you can basically flick through as you're listening to the CD to bring it to life. Brilliant release. This does turn up from time to time on the second-hand market. You are looking somewhere in the region, I think, around the 70, 80 pound mark usually when this crops up. But fantastic, highly recommended release this. Yeah, really nicely done. So this is Elvis Presley live in LA, and what you do get at the end are later shots of Elvis in Los Angeles as well. But as we're looking at 74, we won't go too far into that. And the last book I just wanted to share with you on 1974 is the ever reliable, fantastic Kieran Davis, and this is his Elvis on Tour, March 1974, which hasn't been out very long. I can't remember if this came out this year or last. I feel it might have been last year. Let's see if we've got a date. Oh, 2022. I thought it either time's flown really quickly or it was a while making it onto the shelves. Well, maybe time's flown really quickly, but this is your typical Kieran Davis, and I say that with no detriment at all. This is your just, you know, everything in the kitchen sink thrown at it. Again, I don't mean that negatively. I mean, you just get everything to do with that tour. Huge amounts. So there's Elvis at the Astrodome second time, March 3rd, 1974, when he went back after his record-breaking run there in 1970. But you just get so much bang for your buck with Kieran Davis's books. Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't got yourself any of Kieran Davis's books, they are becoming harder to get, some of the early ones. I believe this one is still available. I think I've seen it on dealer sites. If you haven't got a Kieran Davis book, and you know you've got the wear, you know, and they're not cheap. So, you know, I don't want to be flippant and say, well, just get one, because I appreciate, you know, they might be out of people's budget. And I totally understand that. But if you are able to get one, you know, if you're lucky enough maybe to put it on a birthday list or a Christmas list or whatever that might be, if you get the chance, you will not regret it. These books are wonderful. And I think that might be, no, it's not. I was going to say, I think that might be the hometown gig that was recorded, but at the Mid-South Coliseum, but I don't think it was. But look at those beautiful, beautiful close-ups of the jumpsuits. The blue flower suit, just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Look at that detail. Just fantastic. You cannot go wrong with a Kieran Davis book. And I've said it, there's Mid-South Coliseum actually. I know I've said it before, but I really hope he is working on something new, because actually, you know, the level of detail and information you can dive into in these books is second to none. It really is. Absolutely second to none. I absolutely love them. Just awesome. Okay. That gives an idea. One, of what you get in these books, and two, of the fact that I'm rather fond of them. Okay. Elvis on Tour, March 1974. And that's about it for my collection on 74. As I say, it's, you know, I don't want to decry it in any way. Elvis, as I've sort of tried to explain, is still trying to shake things up and still do things differently. But it is a real shame that we don't see him go into the studio and record anything new for that year. But nevertheless, you know, some great compilations come out of that, and that, you know, they kind of pave the way for everything else that was to follow, really, in many ways. So yeah, 1974. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed that little look at what I've got in the collection for 74. Please do all the good things like, share, comment, subscribe, and everything like that. It really does help the channel, and I appreciate it immensely, so thank you. Right, next time we'll move on and take a little look at 1975. Until then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. God bless you. Adios.